So, welcome everybody to another episode of Fireside Chat. We are actually just having this chat out of Athens DAO, at least for myself. And we just got done with Athens DAO last week, and a lot of interesting information that came through with this hacker house, just because I think with a lot of hacker houses we've been to, correct me if I'm wrong now, but I feel like there's been a lot of people just asking for information. They're a little bit newer to the space, but with the Athens DAO Hacker House, we were able to get some really cool information as far as not only what all the DAOs are doing out there, but the newest, latest tools essentially to make our DAOs a little bit better. So with Unique.vc's, I know Nam and I got a chance to kind of watch the demos a little bit, and we were definitely a huge fan, and we know that they can definitely help move MonkeDAO forward.
Yeah, Athens was like really different kind of event because it's kind of like all people that are already focused on that, and in many cases in these hacker houses you have developers who just want to dive into Solana for the first time, but DAO is a very specific thing, so you gotta have some pre-existing knowledge regarding all things crypto and blockchain and everything else to qualify basically for these kind of events, I guess. So yeah, that was really different experience.
Yeah, and Alex, I know that I don't know if you had experience before with public speaking, but you were essentially on all the panels, either as a speaker or moderator. How did you get into all of this?
Well, basically it's been Dean who asked me to do that. But yeah, I did have previous experience with that as well. I was participating also on a DAO panel in Lisbon on the last breakpoint, and first and the last so far edition of Solana's conference. I mean, that's where we met with Dean for the first time in person. Of course, communicated a lot before that online, trying to wrap our hands around what DAOs are, what they need, how do they function, and so on. And yeah, it's been really exciting, and also been great to participate in all those panels in Athens. Although, honestly, the one on diversity was a little bit weird for me to moderate that. But anyway, I guess you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, it was good to see all of the panels just kind of pull together. We obviously started with a massive schedule, and I think it became a little bit better for us to just focus in on each project individually and have really good Q&A sessions. And luckily, the whole Hacker House was recorded, and all of those are online at the Great Athens DAO, I think on YouTube, if anyone is curious or wants to learn more about any of the DAO tooling or projects that were being talked about, especially what we were highlighting inside of MonkeDAO.
I think you did a great job hosting the diversity panel, to be quite honest, because the diversity aspect was not only just about who we are as a person, but we were talking about the cultural backgrounds, difference between having a global community and just kind of hearing from everyone from one side of the world to the other, to try to figure out what's the best way to really connect everybody when we're all so different, right? So I think you did a great job on the diversity panel, to be quite honest. Were you part of the panels in Lisbon too? I must have missed that.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, those panels, and especially I really liked, that they included the diversity panel in general, because yeah, I mean, this is a very specific environment that we are working in, right? This whole permissionless approach makes it kind of different and hard at the same time, because you never know who's going to come. You never know who is going to try to influence the decisions in one or the other project, but you still have to move forward all the time and try to build things actually. So that's a very interesting point, because sometimes we have a kind of forced diversity, I guess, even. But then the spirit of building, especially honestly in Solana, is just amazing. So yeah, that helps a lot.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see what Breakpoint will look like this year. We'll actually be in Lisbon next week to check out the new spaces for MonkeDAO, so I'm actually really excited about that. But we can definitely jump right into it as far as what Unique.vc is building and what the demo is about. Let's hear it. Give us the alpha.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do in Unique.vc is we are basically building a platform where people are able to create or join a Web3 investment club and purchase and manage assets on chain. And I really wanted, for us to have this conversation because MonkeDAO is very, I really like how you guys approach the whole thing about DAOs and making diverse business out of it. Because that's what we are trying to look into as well. How can DAOs transition from a community into a sustainable business model, right? Completely new business model, obviously, but nevertheless, it has to survive for the next years and decades, and that's hard even for regular companies, right? That are driven by existing hierarchy models and so on. But for DAOs and NFT-based DAOs, it can be especially challenging because it's a very new thing, right? It didn't exist a year ago, and now with the whole world going into recession, I guess the challenge will be even bigger than for regular companies or startups or anything else, right? So that's what we are trying to look into: how to help DAOs and on-chain organizations in general to be more sustainable and to become businesses in the end of the day, right? Something that can be generating profit through various tools, integrations, and everything, right? In the end of the day, it's also about bringing different types of governance structures into the space, trying to figure out what works best for you in this particular situation, for this particular DAO at that very stage of its existence, right? Because just like any other company or organization, DAO is not, it's not set in stone, right? It's something that evolves, matures, diversifies along the way, and at every single point you might just need different things. So that's what we are trying to achieve by providing, those flexible tools in the end of the day. And we are starting with the fundamental things, so that you can come to the platform, you can open a club, define the governance model. You can say, I want it to be based on the existing token, I want it to be based on NFTs, or I want it to be based purely on roles, for example, so that you can assign basically managers to your organization who can take a lot of actions on their own, but then for bigger decisions or for bigger transactions, they need to ask, let's say, a bigger part of the community or people who have actually invested in this club, right? Participate in the, both financial and governance parts of it. And then you can manage this club. You can create different types of proposals, vote of them if necessary, obviously, and then execute those. So for the starters, it's going to be mostly about NFTs, so buying, selling NFTs, and so on. But we are obviously looking to integrate multiple other solutions that will help people to manage their treasury in a better manner, in a more diverse manner. Also having sub treasuries, and then doing the whole thing. So again, from buying and selling NFTs, peer to peer or on marketplaces, diversifying into other assets BTC, USDC, and so on. And then, for example, also for gaming guilds, right, or in general for investing in game-related assets, so that you as a DAO can actually purchase those assets and then borrow them to someone who will be utilizing them in game, playing, gaining some yield and so on, and still for those assets to be in the complete ownership of the DAO itself, right? So under DAO's control, so you won't be able to lose those assets. And then again, integrating solutions for borrowing, lending, using your whole vault, for example, with all of your NFTs as collateral, and so on and so on. So our goal is, in the end of the day, to bring all those different tools and integrations onto the platform, so you can control it from one place in a flexible way that suits your particular case best. So I'm trying to be short, but it's getting harder.
Not a problem. You have a ton of stuff to kind of offer, especially to a lot of either these smaller DAOs or these friend groups that are focusing on investing and pulling stuff together. I know even our mysterious MonkeDAO host could definitely have been using the Unique.vc tools for a couple of his own things, but I was spoiling too much. Yeah, like I'm really excited by what Unique.vc is bringing, especially as it gets more and more marketplace integrations to where everyone can now have access to a lot higher level investments almost, and also that creates more liquidity incentive for the top level projects that obviously have a much higher barrier to entry. So rather than needing to use something like bid split from bridge split, you can now just invest with your friends directly.
Yeah, and that's been our vision, let's say, all along, because the approach, for example, where you fractionalize an NFT didn't really work for us mentally since the very beginning, because first of all, it's a non-fungible asset. It's a non-fungible asset for a reason, right? That's how it was created. That's how, for example, the artists, let's say, imagined it. And it shouldn't really be like changed from that perspective. And then, of course, especially when we're talking about, for example, expensive art pieces like one-on-ones, once you fractionalize it, it also raises the question, like you're turning it literally into financial asset directly. So that can be problematic with regulators as well. And then, just having tokens flying around might be problematic from the technical standpoint as well. So we really wanted to build this kind of a different experience where it's actually about ownership in this group manner, right? So we come together, the friends. We can, just like you say, we can just buy a more expensive NFT or any asset together, own it together. We know exactly who contributed what percentage, let's say, and that pretty much is the same as shares of this asset, right? And then the same goes for, let's say, multiple assets, right? Because if you are thinking about those NFTs, they're pretty liquid on their own, and it can be really hard to actually estimate the value of any particular NFT. But when you have a diverse vault, let's say, a diverse set of assets that you own as a group, it becomes a little bit easier to put a certain price tag on that, let's say, and that's equity, right? But again, it means that this equity doesn't need to be split into small pieces, that represent 1/1,000,000th of some villa somewhere, but you actually own this property altogether, right? And that kind of makes it a little bit more straightforward from every perspective. But yeah, we are still pretty far away from there, but we are definitely looking forward to this direction as well.
So I know I've been asking when ever since the demo, because I do really love this customization of governance that you guys were setting up, and I can see it apply in MonkeDAO, especially with the sub-DAO committees that we do have. So when do you guys expect for this to be fully launched? Can we give a little bit teaser to everybody that's listening right now when to expect this?
Yeah, so according to our latest plan, we are going public on DevNet next Wednesday, and then for the mainnet launch, the plan is to do that during the Solana Hacker House that is happening in Belgrade, because that's our home base, and it's July 2nd to 6th, so somewhere in this time frame, right? So again, that's the plan. Things can go obviously differently, but we are really trying to lock all the initial features and push it for those dates.
Well, I know I'm really excited about it. I see that Martin's up here too as well. Can we go back a little bit, just kind of get a backstory about how you guys all met and how did you guys come up with the concept and what motivated you guys? Did you guys all meet in Lisbon, or was it before then or after that? Love to hear a little bit more about how you guys all came together.
Yeah, that's actually pretty simple story. We started working on the project, at least from the ideation perspective, more than a year ago. And It's been pretty simple because we were looking into this NFT market that kind of started to boom last spring, and that was exactly the point. Like, we didn't really have time to dive too deep into it. We didn't have time to dedicate, to research and really follow every possible means and drop and so on and so on. It's a full-time job. That's what we realized, and because I have a startup background, basically, I have previous experience starting companies, and so one of those we actually started together with Urosh, and it's been an enterprise blockchain startup. And with Martin being by our side as experienced, crypto first person, it's been quite a challenge for us, but we approached it in a way like, okay, if this is a challenge and if this is an existing problem, instead of trying to solve it for ourselves, let's see what we can build on top of that. And that's how the whole idea started. We've been trying to formulate, like, how can we help ourselves and other people overcome this barrier, right? On one hand, of course, it's a price barrier. It's also a risk, obviously, if you are doing it on your own, especially without proper research. So if we come together as a group, and especially if we can also say, okay, we're going to basically hire someone who can manage our treasury involved for us, and who has more experience or expertise, or at least can dedicate full time working on that, probably it's going to be more functional in the end of the day. And yeah, we never really created let's say our own DAO or whatever so far, so that's one of the things we are definitely looking to do immediately as we release the mainnet version. But yeah, from that point we started building. We participated in Solana Seasons Hackathon in last May, got one of the prizes, and basically that was our validation moment of sorts, and we have decided, yeah, let's do it. Like, no matter what, let's try to go to the very end and see where it takes us. And so yeah, 1 year later, here we are preparing for the mainnet launch for honestly a really complex product, even at this very basic stage. But yeah, it's been a really exciting journey, and it's only starting.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what you guys have launching. And also here, maybe a little bit more alpha for the listeners. You guys are thinking about building a hacker house in Belgrade, especially to coincide with the Solana hacker house that's coming up.
Yeah, that's the concept we started working on a few months ago. Basically, the idea is to bring the whole ecosystem together, so kind of centralized manner. But honestly, that's because we do have a lot of people working on different blockchain projects here in Serbia. But at the same time, it's really hard for new people to onboard and start building on Solana, or actually on Polygon, or on Near, or on any of those chains, because yes, they do have documentation, but it's really not as not as full and not as available as what developers are used to, actually. Right? It's not like you can go to, I don't know, Stack Overflow and find solution for 90% of your problems. In most cases, you have to go out and ask someone who actually has experience doing that. And throughout our own journey, especially in the beginning, the main source of knowledge for our developers and our team was Solana Discord and Twitter and so on. Like, literally, it's very weird when you get most of the alpha regarding development from Twitter, right? And it's very unusual as well. So we want to concentrate all this knowledge in one place, so that people who want to start building on blockchain in general have a place where they can come, ask people who have hands-on experience on an everyday level, who are up to recent events and what's actually happening. Find the team, build some project, present it to everybody else, find this network and connections and everything else. So basically, concentrate all of those things in one place, because again, as big as our community here is, and we estimate it to be more than 1,000 developers working on blockchain in Serbia, it's still very small, right? And globally, blockchain is a technology that's not really so well represented, let's say, right? And the knowledge is still scarce. So we want to change that, at least at the local level. So yeah, we've got a building for that. We are now working on, preparing it for the actual work. So yeah, we want to open at least some part of it, or show at least some part of it during Solana's Hacker House. And probably it's going to take a little bit longer to kick it off in a full capacity. But yeah, once it happens, and if we manage to prove the concept, definitely we'll be willing to share and export it to other countries and locations as well. So yeah, pretty excited about that too.
Yeah, very excited to maybe visit Belgrade. We'll see if we can actually fit it in this world tour schedule. So yeah, if you guys are going to be around the area, definitely go out, say hi to Unique.vc team out in Belgrade. Any final words for anybody who's just trying to get into the space? I love that you guys are building a hacker house to just really focus on DAO tooling and bring everybody else together. But for everybody else that's listening right now, before we move over to Leslie with Moonlit, do you guys have any advice for anybody who's new coming into this space?
I guess my main advice would be, be prepared to have your mind blown, because it's a completely different environment from every perspective. It requires a complete shift of mentality, basically from everybody, right? From developers, from people working in biz dev, in marketing, in product design. It's amazingly challenging to actually build user-friendly products in Web3. So yeah, really, it's just like when you go to high school and then you go to the university, they say, okay, forget everything you learned. It's not relevant anymore, and you're like, okay, and then you finish the university and you go to to work for some company, and again they say forget everything, because that's going to be completely different. It's the same with the whole Web3 space. Everything or at least a big part of it, is going to be pretty much irrelevant. So your experience does matter, but in the end of the day, it's more about your enthusiasm and your willingness to learn new things. That's what matters the most.
I love that. I love that analogy about forgetting everything that you're just entering the space. To say something before we move on to Leslie, are you feeling a little bit shy today? Do you have any advice for the audience?
Hi. No, actually, I'm not shy at all, but I was just listening to what Alex said. Is just, I've been in the space since 2017, so I don't really remember what kind of person I were before that. But I just want to say to everyone that is relatively new to the space that he will be a completely new person after spending several months in crypto. That will just change his life, the way of thinking, and just it's hard now to communicate with just normal people that are not doing anything regarding crypto. It's really hard for me now. So I think this is good and bad, but it is a life-changing thing for sure. Not only on financial perspective, because not anyone in the space is making money. You can lose ton of money, and in fact, I lost way too many times all my money. But this is not the point. It changes your life literally in any aspect.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I definitely know my life was not the same after Lisbon. So thank you guys for coming on and talking about what UVC is building, and look forward to making an official announcement once you guys are ready to fully launch. So now moving on to Leslie. The mic test 1 2 1 2. How's your mic doing?
Hi, Mac. How are you? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you too. Hey, I had to restart my phone right before this and just kind of finally get Twitter to work. So
Right.
I'm happy we finally got you on.
Yes, I'm here finally. Sorry about that. Cool. Well, I'm excited to talk today about what we're working on together. I just a bit of background. I'm one of the co-founders of FanDuel, the sports betting company, and I first met Nom in January this year. We have a mutual connection, and I was really interested in learning more. I'd heard about, but didn't totally understand what all the hype was about. And I got on a Zoom call with Nom in January, and what was really clear to me was there was a ton of passion, but also a lot of frustration, a lot of sort of manual processes and herding of cats going on. So I started talking with Nom and really thinking about, how could we help make life easier for the board, and also for people in the DAO. I joined MonkeDAO shortly after that conversation with Nom, and I've been blown away by. I've been to 2 events now and met a bunch of folks in real life, and a little bit like what Martin and Mac were just saying, it's definitely life-changing in terms of how welcoming the community has been. I think the Solana community in general is very welcoming, and MonkeDAO in particular has been fabulous. So kudos to you guys for creating an amazing community. So what are we working on? Some of the problems that we were talking about in those early days were around the fact that we're going to launch this monkey token sometime soon, and how do we do that? How do we think about that? How do we encourage more people to jump in and take part in the community? It's all very well sort of shit posting on Twitter or posted in the Discord, but how do we really all come together and build an organization that's actually creating value for the members of the community? And so the first thing that whenever I build products, the first thing that I do is look at, well, what exactly is the problem? And I think there are many different problems in this space. I'm sure most of you are aware of what these are. Discord is not the best platform, but it is the platform that we're all on. Communication is kind of broken. Maybe only 10% of people are participating in votes. So is that actually decentralized or is that centralized? Onboarding takes too much time. It's clumsy. It's clunky. The board's too big. We're not moving fast enough. There's all these issues that are floating around, and really drilling down to what is the key problem that we're trying to solve was the first thing that I looked at. And I spoke to a lot of people in the DAO, also spoke to people in other DAOs, and what it came down to was people want to be involved, but they don't really know how to. I would say you can summarize it by saying, I want to be a valuable member of this community because I respect the people that are in this community, and I want that same respect. So if I look back at my time at FanDuel, one of the things that we very quickly realized was, while people joined FanDuel in the first place in the hope that they would win money, what very quickly happened was that they were able to play this game that proved how smart they were, how well they knew sports, how well they understood fantasy sports. And it was almost about respect and proving yourself. And I think the same can be said about MonkeDAO. There's definitely something around, believing that the floor for the monkeys will go up. And I want to know that the work that I'm doing will cause that to happen. So tying those two things together and really understanding what the DAO's objectives are and how what I'm doing is going to tie into that. And those were the sort of messages that I was hearing as I spoke to people. So what I am working with a team of product developers, and we agreed guiding sort of design principles with the board of MonkeDAO. And, the first thing was DAOs are about people. We are the people in our DAO. So what we have to do is design something for regular members. If we as regular members are not using whatever tool this is, it's not going to work for the board. It's not going to work for the project manager. So whatever we build, it has to be for us regular members, and it has to be easy to use, and it has to be mobile first. That was number one. Number two was we want to encourage the right behaviors and discourage the wrong ones. And in terms of the right behaviors, I've very strongly from the get-go have felt that openness and visibility is key to MonkeDAO. And it's not always been possible because, there are some discussions that have to, for legal reasons, happen behind closed doors. But in general, I can tell that the board is being as open and, keeping everything as visible as possible. And, sharing often and sharing early and taking feedback. And then the other sort of thing that we want to encourage is getting the right blend between competition and collaboration. And this is a theme that I've heard in multiple places. And it's difficult to do. But if we can get this right, where there's some level of competition, where we're motivated to contribute, but yet we still feel like one team, and we want to collaborate together to make the DAO more successful. If we can get that right, then I think we're onto something really special. And then the third guiding principle is we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We are not trying to get people off Discord. We know that we have to integrate with Realms and Phantom Wallet. We're not looking to build Trello for Web3. How can we meet all of us where we are, the platforms that we're already using, and build something that simply makes life easier for us all? So that was our starting point. And so where are we? We're building an alpha, and the alpha is going to let us do some really interesting things. The first thing is, as regular members of MonkeDAO, we're going to be able to easily search for projects that we want to get involved with. I don't know how many of you guys have seen the Airtable with all the projects in it. It's a really scary place, and I'm sure not many people like to go there. So the way to think about it is, somebody puts up a proposal, it gets voted on, it's successful, but then what happens? Well, there's probably a bunch of DMs, and there, people may set up a group chat at some point. But how can new people get involved if they've missed the initial proposal, for example? So there'll be the opportunity for proposal owners to almost advertise for a team, and us as regular members will be able to go in and see all these adverts for teams that we can join, and be able to join the teams right there. And then you can also go in and find the right people that you want to collaborate with. So right now, if I'm in Discord, I can see a long list of Discord names, but I don't really know who these people are. And sure, some of them have roles attributed to them, but it's still not super helpful. So it's going to be possible to go in there and create a profile for yourself that you want to share with the DAO. When we all joined the DAO, we filled in a Google Sheet, we filled in a form. Let's surface that data so that we can all see who we are and what skills we bring to the table. And then I can say whether I want to work or not. Do I actually want to do work right now? Do I have the bandwidth, or am I actually quite stretched and I can't really commit to anything right now? So getting visibility of that is an important piece of the puzzle. And then the third one, and possibly the one that makes Nom the happiest, is you're going to be able to be paid in Monkey tokens for all your efforts. So it'll be listed right there on your profile what you did and how much you were paid for doing it, which brings real visibility to everything that we're doing and how the Monkey tokens are being distributed. We agreed as a DAO that these tokens are going to be used to reward people who add value. This is not about staking. This is not about simply airdropping. How can we use these to really build the future of MonkeDAO together? So you'll be able to go in and see, oh, I can see Mac was paid 4 Monkey tokens for organizing the dinner at NYC and NFT. And so we immediately have visibility of not only what people are doing, but also whether or not they've been paid for it. And as I said earlier, we'll integrate with Realms and the Phantom Wallet as well. Is there anything else I want to say? Oh, the other one that is quite interesting is we'll also be able to vouch for each other. So, if I've worked with Martin in the past, then I can say, do you know what? Martin delivered. He's a good monkey. I'm going to vouch for him. Or, if I've met someone in a previous life, then I'm going to vouch for them. So we start to build a picture of who in the DAO is reliable, rather than who's hanging on and just hoping that Monkey go up. So that's it. We're going to do a demo within the DAO in a couple of weeks' time and aiming to launch later on this summer. If any of you want more information, hit me up on Twitter, or you can find me on Discord. Our website is moonlit.team. If you want a little bit more information, there's not much there. We haven't really focused on the website. But it'll give you an idea of what we're thinking about there. Mac, anything else, or Nom, anything else that you want me to cover?
No, I think this was great. Nom, can you think of anything else you like Leslie go over before we get into questions?
No, Leslie, you did a great job of explaining why this tool is super necessary. There's a bunch of different ways that I think we can quantify participation in some way, shape, or form. But I think it's much more important for us to actually have a new system in place that serves a lot more of what we're trying to do. Thank you for taking all the time today and answering all of these questions.
Pleasure. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a bit of a game changer.
Yeah, I just love that with what you're doing with Moonlit and what Unique.vc is doing. We're starting to see really a customization when it comes to the different DAOs that are existing out there, and you guys really just listening to a lot of people out there and just trying to figure out what is it that we can all do to just kind of make this a little bit more efficient and make this a little bit better. And I've always been a huge fan of FanDuel, like I've explained to you, Leslie, before, as far as the user experience too, because kind of like what you said, it's not really about what the board wants or what each individual wants. It's we want to do something that's a little bit more approachable for the whole entire DAO and just make it really easy for everyone to not only have access to, but for them to be able to engage with it and have it be a tool that's going to help us all at the very end.
Right, exactly, and I think that's really important. If none of us regular members are using it, then it's not really going to be much use. So the important thing is that there's a reason for me as a regular monkey to go in there and update my profile and go and look to see which ways can I get involved with the DAO. And as long as we're all using it, then it becomes a really useful tool for the board as well in terms of management.
I do like the transparency aspect of it too, as far as where you're able to see how the tokens are allocated, the work that's been done. And you're essentially kind of providing a little bit of a Web3 CV also for everybody's profile with the stamp approval that everyone that's actually working, that's going to be able to get from their peers too as well. I think as we move into the future and as we talk about, people out there that are actually building versus people who say they're building, I think this is a really good way to just go, you know what, these are the people who not only did the work, you can actually see this is how much they've gotten pay and this is what they've done to get pay.
Right. And it becomes more about what you've done rather than who you are, which I really like. And the visibility of payments, I think, as well, from a diversity perspective, I think is really important. Being able to see that people are being paid fairly for the work they've done is, I think, it's almost like core to the values of the DAO in terms of fairness, which is one of the reasons why I joined MonkeDAO. I immediately saw that the individuals involved with the DAO at the board level, and the founders have are ethical and want to do the right thing, and that really appeals to me.
Yeah, even for MonkeDAO, I feel like we had this nice transition since last year. We're approaching our 1 year anniversary, which we were building up our events for. But, in the very beginning, all feels like the Wild Wild West. And now to even hear and to talk about how well we can make the DAO a lot better and more efficient, just with anything from the governance system that we've been talking about to these DAO toolings as far as actually paying people for the work that they've done and the time they contributed. It's actually something just really exciting that's launching. So thank you for that, actually.
Pleasure.
All right, we're going to open up the floor to any questions. Feel free to raise your hand. We can definitely pull you up. We have about 5-10 minutes of questions. Well, it looks like we have a request, so I'll preview right now, English. You're up, English. What would you like to add? Did you have any questions for any of our speakers today? Welcome.
Hey.
Nice monkey.
Thank you. Hi, Leslie. I absolutely love what you were talking about. Do you mind if I ask you one question?
You can ask. I might not answer.
Okay, fair enough. So I'm actually in the process of building a project that has a couple of parallels. It's essentially going to be like a crowd-funded hacker house where we give members the ability to build something with our dev team that they think Solana needs. How do you plan? Sorry, I'm in the middle of New York City, so if you hear the siren, sorry. How do you plan on making it not just a bunch of poo flinging of too many ideas and kind of zero in on one sustainable idea to actually push forward?
What do you mean in terms of ideas?
So it seems like what I understood from what you guys are doing is you're going to see who wants to build what, who can actually build that, and reward those members. If there's hundreds and dozens of ideas floating around at the same time, how do you intend to zero in on the feasible ones?
Well, this is all driven by proposals. So proposals, we have a voting process for the proposals in existence right now. I don't anticipate, at least initially, that Moonlit will drive a ton more proposals. I would hope that there is a virtuous circle in terms of the more people are able to get involved and feel more invested, then the more ideas they may have in the future. And there's a sort of virtuous circle there. But as a standalone thing, it's not going to be possible to just add random ideas. It still has to be based on a proposal being accepted. Does that make sense?
Yeah, understood. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Are there any other questions? But that was a really good question, English. I think as we're building this out and testing out too as well, it's really about the needs and wants that we are providing within MonkeDAO, and just kind of be able to set up where we streamline this, where it's really easy for the members to see what's out there. So in regards to what's important, what's not, there's still going to be a proposal that's being put up, and the vote still has to go through before we just, like you said, bombard Moonlit with thousands and thousands of different projects looking for different people, when there's only like a few that's going to be able to move our DAO forward.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I don't want 80% of a community to think that one idea is great and the other 20% think that one other idea is great, and then there becomes turmoil and, like we say in Discord, hoop flinging. So I was just wondering how they would combat that. But her answer makes a lot of sense.
All right. Leslie, just out of curiosity, is there anything else you'd like to add on, maybe to new people coming into the space? Where should they go? What do you think would be a good way for them to just kind of get started? Kind of like what I asked Alex and Martin a little bit earlier before.
I think the thing that struck me as a relatively new person in the space is not to beat yourself up too much. I'm always very guilty of beating myself up, and realize that, you know, experts in this field, quote unquote, have really only been in the field for a year or two. So, you know, there is a lot to learn, but it's just going to take you a little bit of time. The other thing is, don't be afraid to reach out to people and talk to them, because there's a lot of camaraderie in the space, and definitely, you know, a sense of we're all in this together, which I love.
Amazing. I could not have said that better myself. I know my DM is always open. Nom's DM is always open. I know a lot of board members are always open to what everyone else has to say. So we really appreciate you coming on, and I'm glad we were able to kind of sort out the technical issues with Twitter. And we look forward to testing out what you guys have, because so far, just even given the demo that we've seen, I'm really excited for Moonlit to just launch this and just kind of get this going.
Yeah, I think it'll be lit.
Amazing. Well, happy Friday, everyone. Here's another episode, Monkey Fireside Chat. Anybody who's joining us late, this is recorded, so feel free to play this back and just kind of listen to what these amazing monkeys are building right now, not only just for MonkeDAO, but these are great DAO tooling systems that it's going to be able to apply to a lot of DAOs out there. And I'm really happy we were able to get a chance to chat with all of you guys in Athens when we were at the Athens DAO this past week. And looking forward to seeing everybody at the next couple hacker houses that we're building out the events for. So have a good weekend, everyone, and enjoy yourselves. And we will talk and chat another time. Have a good night.